I want to raise some questions about the declaration of the Gambia as an Islamic state.
Léegi nag ma jàll ci beneen fànn mooy jamono ji nga xamee ne nag yéebaane nañ wone ne réewi Gambia réewi Islam la.
Is it correct that you were the Minister of Justice at this time of the declaration?
Dëgg la ne jamono boobu yaa nekkoon ministre bi saytu wàllu luwaay ak àtte ci réew mi.
Yes, I was.
Waaw jamono boobu man la woon.
Can you tell this commission the advice you gave to the president after he made this declaration?
I
can tell you that I actually wrote an opinion about his declaration.
I
cannot remember the substance of the opinion. It's in the files. But in essence, I had informed him that to declare for a state to become an Islamic state, there were certain procedures that we must go through. And that includes a referendum.
We'll get to that point.
So you asked me a question, you asked me what advice did I give. I'm telling you that I don't remember, but in essence, this is what I said.
You indicated that you had written an opinion.
Yes, I did.
I want to get on that point before we move further.
Okay.
Thank you. We have an opinion that was from your office. Signed by yourself, dated the 8th of February 2016. With your permission, Mr. Chair, I would like the witness to look at the document. Thank you. Would it be correct to say that opinion originated from your office?
Hold on, let me read it. Yes.
Is it correct that in that opinion you were actually advising as to how the republic can be changed to an Islamic state?
Yes.
And you had even gone to the extent of making comparison from two different jurisdictions.
To more than two different jurisdictions.
You talked about Pakistan.
Pakistan.
What other countries did you mention?
A few of them, but you also have to take it into context. So since we're talking to the Commission and member of the public, if you see from the first paragraph of my letter and my opinion, if I may be allowed to read it.
You may read it.
I had said before that everything I do, I reduce it into writing. My opinions are always clear. In that letter I wrote, I refer to the verbal directive
nga xam ne nag daal di woon naa ko ebal nag ci li nga xam ne nii mooy ndigal loo xam ne nii ay kàddu rek la woon.
Made on the 30th of December 2015.
defoon ko fanweeri fan ci weeri December 2015.
For this office, that is the Ministry of Justice.
pour nag si office bi ministre bi saytu wàlli loi ak àtte ci réew mi.
To conduct research on the modalities for the effective establishment and functioning of an Islamic Republic.
pour nag ñu xeñtu ci anam yi nga xam ne mooy dëppoo ak tëddalin yi ñuy mën a sosee nag Islamic Republic di réewi islam.
The directive further directed that we seek guidance from systems such as Saudi Arabia, Mauritania, and Pakistan.
te tamit ñu dal di seet nag wéeru tamit ci li nga xam ne nii moo nekk ay xalaat yu tuggoo ci réew yooyu mu tudd.
Yes, so to look at it from the context.
pour seete ko nag ci ni nga xam ne noonu lañ ko bindee.
I had a meeting with him.
am naa jotaay ak moom.
Informed him about the procedure that would be involved.
wax ko nag sartay anam yi nga xam ne noonu lañ ko war a doxalee.
That for a state to become Islamic, for the country to be an Islamic Republic.
pour nag réew mun a nekk Islamic Republic.
This matter had to be brought to a referendum.
nekk na mbir moo xam ne foog ñu def ko ci référendum nag.
Thank you,
The Supreme Court. Let me give you context, please. That the Supreme Court had already decided.
ne Supreme Court bi nag dal dina dogal ba pare.
That Section 1 of the Constitution, which is an entrenched clause.
ci constitution bi nga xam ne nag nekk na loo xam ne ni waruñ koo génne.
Cannot be amended without the input or the approval of the people.
manuñ koy génne manuñ koy wecci ci tey temen amuñ ndigal boo xam ne mu ngi jóge koo ci xelaati nit ñi.
That means that it has to go through a referendum.
foog si rek mu dem nag ci wote référendum.
It was following that advice.
di toftal nag ndigal boobu.
He still insisted that he wanted to go ahead.
ba léegi rek mu dingal ne dafa bëgg a continuer.
That's why I refer to the verbal directive.
moo tax na ma jëm nag ci li nga xam ne mooy ndigal boo xam ne ci kàddu rek la woon.
That he made on the 30th of December.
ci li mu wax nag ni ki fanweeri fan ci weeri December.
And in the opinion.
ci li nga xam ne mooy xalaatam.
If you may allow me to guide you.
Okay.
You've talked about a referendum.
Yes.
And you've also talked about that he refused to accept that advice.
Well, he insisted on going ahead with it.
If you may look at this letter, which is dated the 15th day of February 2016, with your permission, Mr. Chair.
15th, that one is after this letter. Thank you.
The said letter was addressed to you as the minister.
Yes.
Letter bi len ko bindon dama ne joji ayon minister bi.
Can you read the context of the letter for this commission?
Yes, let me read it first.
Nga ñoo jangal.
So this letter was dated on the 15th of February.
kon letter bi ñu ko bind fukki fan ak juróom ci weeri February.
It follows the letter that I had written dated the 8th of February.
toftal na nag letter bi ma bindoon juróom-ñetti fan ci weeri February.
And it refers to that letter.
tey tamit mu ngi jëmee nag ca letter booba.
In that letter, I had advised. That's why I wanted to go into details on that letter. In that letter, I had advised
dénku naa ko ne.
that we had conducted in-depth research as per his directive.
mooy nag ne dal dinañu def ay suñu gestu comme ci ndigalam.
At the systems of governance of 3 countries.
ci anam gi nga xam noonu lay doxalee ci nguur ak ñetti réew.
We focused on the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Malaysia.
dal dinañu seet Islamic Republic bu Pakistan, Malaysia.
And Islamic Republic of Mauritania.
ak Islamic Republic bu Mauritania.
We gave examples of the way those systems work.
ñu joxe nag ay sanction ci anam gi nga xam ne noonu la mooy réew yooyu di doxee.
And we also highlighted the case, the situation, the legal system as it was, as it is.
ñu feeñal nag li nga xam ne nii moo nekk seen anami doxalini luwaat ni muy doxee.
And we raised the issue of judicial aspect of Islam.
ñu ekkati nag li nga xam ne nii mooy fànn bi dëppoo mbiri Islam.
And highlighted the fact that Malaysian judicial system is a by-juror nature with large common law influences.
te tamit wane na Malaysia nag nekk na réew moo xam ne ñuy doxalee ak si ay sàtta ak ay loi lañ.
Yes, and that it had more common law influence as opposed to Islamic law influence.
ñoo gën a am nag seen loi yi nga xam ne ñoom lañ daan doxee seen biir réew ni loi yi islam.
And I elaborated more on that.
te wax naa lu gën a yaatu nag si loolu.
And I stated that
te tamit ma wéral fa yi tamit ne.
that as a result of that, the foregoing,
ci li nga xam ne moo si tukkee nag.
that given the Gambia's unique history,
jox nag Gambia nag li nga xam ne mooy taarix boo xam ne benn la ci maasam.
culture and social family ties,
ak li nga xam ne muy nekk suñu aada ak suñu dëkk ni ñu neen.
and other religious groups,
ak yeneen i diine yi nekk fii ci réew mi.
a hybrid structure
ak li nga xam ne noonu la ñuy doxalee ci sàtte yooyu.
is proposed until all conditions necessary for an effective functioning of an Islamic state.
dina taxaw nag di dox ba ni nga xam ne daal noonu lañ mën a amee Islamic state bu wér.
And I said that recommendations are as follows.
ci la wax ne ràññeef yooyu nag ñu ngi nii.
That if he wanted to proceed,
ne bu fekkee ne bëgg naa continuer.
there was going to be a short-term and long-term plan.
foog si rek ñu am diir bu gàtt ak bu gudd.
Mr.
One of the recommendations. Hold on, I'm referring.
May I lead you, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Do not read all the recommendations.
No, I'm not. I'm just reading
because
one.
it is very long.
Yes, I understand.
Yes.
So I'm just reading paragraph 1. Paragraph 1 talks about the formal name. The recommendation was maintain the formal name of Republic of the Gambia on official legal documents.
moo nekkoon nag njëlbeen moo nekkoon pour continuer rek ci ni mu wéree ci loi mooy turi Gambia di Republic of the Gambia.
Since a change of name without fulfillment of all constitutional requirements will resort to adverse legal complications.
bu fekkee nag ne am nañ wécceeku te jaaru nag ci anam yi nga xam ne noonu la wéree ci loi dana fa am jafe-jafe ay rëq-rëq nag ci wàlli loi.
I also stated that it is particularly relevant in agreements and contracts.
ci la wax ne na surtout nag ci yenn nangotoo yi la ak ay contracts yi la liggéey.
which have great benefits to the government.
yoo xam ne nag am na njëriñ bu yaatu nag ci wàlli nguur gi.
but could be challenged in court and declared null and void.
waaye nag mën nañ koo dingat ci court bi te bu boobaa nag dañ koy dàq daal ne dara amatut fa.
due to the non-fulfillment of all legal and constitutional requirements necessary.
gannaaw boo xamee nag ñàkk a motal nag lépp loo xam ne ni aajo nañ ko ci loi ak tawe ci doxalin bi ni mu waree.
I also stated that a referendum to take into consideration popular opinion on the proposal of Gambia becoming an Islamic state.
te tamit nag ràññee tamit ne lu jëm ci wàlli référendum di wote diggante waaw ak déet ànd ngeen ci wala ànduñ ci.
as well as the fulfillment of constitutional requirements for amendment of an entrenched clause.
ak tamit nag li nga xam ne nii mooy ci loi pour nag daal di di soppali ci buntu boo xam ne nii am kenn waru koo wecci.
I also suggested that we continue to promote equality for all persons, all faith, and all gender before the law.
ci kaw loolu nag ci lañ war di continuer nag di si wàll emale goo xam ne dana nekk ci diggante diine yi diggante góor ak jigéen ak tamit ci leneen yu ci dëpp.
So there are many proposals and recommendations, but this is just some of it.
am na nag ràññeef yu bëri yoo xam ne nii bind nañ ko waaye nag yii rek mooy yenn ci ñoom.
So to go to the letter that was just handed over to me dated the 15th of February.
nag ñu dem nag si lettre bi nga xam ne moom lañ ma bind fukki fan ak juróom si weeri février.
From the office of the Secretary General.
jógee ko ci office Secretary General bi.
The Secretary General signed the letter.
Secretary General bi signé lettre boobu.
And he was conveying an executive directive.
te moom nag mu ngi doon àggale ak ndogal digal boo xam ne ni mu ngi jógee ko ci président bi.
To the effect that.
ci anam bu ne.
that the Gambia will continue to be called Islamic Republic of the Gambia.
ne Gambia dafay dañ koy continuer di ko ooyee Islamic Republic of the Gambia.
And that the Republic will adhere to the status of a truly Islamic and not a pseudo-Islamic Christian state.
te tamit nag dana nekk nag loo xam ne dafa wane ne Islamic Republic la waaye du Republic boo xam ne diggante Islam ak Christianity.
And the Republic would have all the attributes of an Islamic state within 5 years.
te tamit nag dana am lépp loo xam ne ni aajo na ko di Islamic Republic si diirab juróomi at.
He also directed that therefore.
ci la bind tamit day wax joxe ndigal ne kon.
to task my office.
sas nag suma office.
to work on the constitution.
ñu liggéey nag ci constitution lu ay réew mi.
and take note that there will be no referendum on this issue.
te tamit ñu xam nag ne amul benn wote diggante déet ak waaw boo xam ne dañ ko def si mbir mi.
that the task force should initiate action.
ne task force boobu noonu nag foog si dañu jël ay jéego.
to establish institutions of Islamic State with Sharia laws.
Foog ñu jaaral institution léew islamique boo xam ne ni danañ am ay Sharia loi ay Sharia.
Analogous to the functioning of Islamic State of Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, and Mauritania.
Doxalin bi nga xam ne mu ngi nekk islamique bu réewi arab yooyu mu tudd noonu.
That the Sharia judicial system
ne ate Sharia bi
should be fully fledged by 30 December 2021.
te ne dana war a dox nag niki ñaar fukki fan fanweeri fan ci weeri December atum 2021.
That in the process of requisite institutions should be set up.
ci kaw nag yi nga xam ne nii mooy buntu liggéeykaay yi koy war a doxal foog si ñu taxawal leen.
Trainees identified for formal training.
ràññee ay njàng yoo xam ne nii pour yenn njàngal.
In Sharia jurisprudence and Sharia courts function.
Ni nga xamee noonu la ñuy doxalee lépp loo xam ne mu ngi aju ci wàlli kooti Sharia yi la ak tamit luwaay Sharia yi.
That is it. That is all.
kon nag foofu la leetar bi jeexee.
And that letter was addressed to yourself.
Letter boobu nag yow lañ ko yónnee woon.
Yes, it was addressed to my office.
waaw ñu ko yónnee suma office.
Can you read the addressee in that letter?
Attorney General, Minister of Justice.
leetar bi nag mu ngi jëm ci Attorney General, ministre bi saytu wàlli.
May I have the letter,
loi ak
please?
àtte.
The letter was personally addressed to you.
If it was personally addressed to me, it would have been Mama Fatima Singate. It was addressed to my office as Attorney General Counsel.
bu fekkee ne leetar bi dañ ma ko jëwoon suma tur lañ fa doon bind Mama Fatima Singate.
The letter was addressed the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Then it said Ministry of Justice. So it was addressed to you as you held that position at that particular time.
Minister bi nga xam ne moo saytu wàllu loi ak àtte ci office minister bi saytu mbiri loi ak àtte bon te yow yaa fa nekkoon.
Can you tell this commission the actions you took after you received the directive dated the 15th of February 2016?
nga mën a wax commission bi nag lan nga def gannaaw boo jotee leetar bi nga xam ne ñu ngi ko bindoon fukki fan ak juróom ci at.
I believe there was a task force.
yaakaar naa amoon na genn kuréel goo xam ne ni muy task force.
Chaired by the Secretary General.
jiite ko nag di Secretary General bi.
Consisting of some personalities.
nga xam ne ni boo ko na ci nag di ay yenn nit.
May I stop you there?
Okay.
I believe you replied to the directive.
foog naa tontu woon nga de.
On a letter dated the 14th March 2016.
leetar buñ bind fukki fan ak ñeneen weeri March 2016.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I would like the witness to see this letter.
Thank you.
That letter is a reply to the directive you received.
leetar boobu dang ko tontu ci ndigal yi nga xam ne moom nga jotoon.
And in the same letter, you're actually referring to the opinion you had sent initially.
te ba tey ci leetar bi de yaa ngi ci doon wax mbiri yow li woon sa gis-gis ci leetar ba nga leen njëkkoon a yónnee.
Is it correct that in this letter, you indicated that a task force should be set up?
ndax mun nañoo wax ne leetar bi waxoon nga ci ne nañ tànn ay jàmbur.
Actually, the task force was already instructed to be set up in that letter, the previous letter of the 15th of February.
ci leetar bi jiitu bi nag ci lañ joxe woon ndigal ne daal way tànneef yooyu noonu jàmbur yooyu nañ leen sos.
And in this letter, I refer to the directive in said letter, referring to the task force to initiate action.
te leetar bi nag liñ ci wax mooy comme task force di jàmbur yooyu ñu santoon nañ jël ay jéego.
So it is therefore correct that in this letter you created the task force.
I did not create the task force. I sent recommendations of names for the task force.
Can you read the recommendations you sent for the task force?
Yes. I said, I hereby forward the following names for persons for the attention of His Excellencies to constitute a task force.
His Excellency nak pour task force comme penci jambour yoy nga xamne ñom lañ wax ni ñu tan.
And the following people were proposed.
ñi nak ñom lañ tudon.
Alhaji Ousmane Dia.
Alhaji Ousmane Dia.
Kadi Omar Seka.
Kadi Omar Seka.
Alhaji Essa Dabo.
Alhaji Essa Dabo.
Alhaji Mbai Saho.
Alhaji Mbai Saho.
Dr. Omar Jah.
Dr. Omar Jah.
Mrs. Marie Sen.
Mrs. Marie Sen.
Dr. Abubakar Senghor.
Dr. Abubakar Senghor.
Mr. Lamin Kamara.
Mr. Lamin Kamara.
Mr. Abdoulaye Ba.
Mr. Abdoulaye Ba.
Those were the names that were recommended.
Was the task force set up?
Yes, the task force was set up.
And the aim of the task force was to now find a way of implementing the Islamic State of the Gambia.
I think it was more like looking at the feasibility of the Islamic State.
Can you repeat, please? Sorry.
I think it was on the feasibility of establishing an Islamic State.
Which goes to the same thing as they were set up to find a way that they could implement this directive that had stated that Gambia should change to an Islamic state.
If
you say so.
Yes, I do. I believe you have your constitution with you.
Yes, I do.
May you open part 3, where it says legislative and other powers of the National Assembly.
What section?
100.
Yes.
You will see that on the section 1, 101.
Section 101.
It says the legislative power of the Gambia shall be exercised by bills passed by the National Assembly and assented to by the President. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which means in interpretation that even the President cannot make laws. It is only the National Assembly that makes laws.
That's very clear.
Thank you. At this point, I would like you to read subsection 2 of section 100 to the Commission.
That the National Assembly shall not pass a bill to establish a one-party state, establish a... Yeah. Establish a religion as a state religion. And alter the decision or judgment of a court in any proceedings.
Thank you, Ms. Singate.
You're welcome.
I think section 2B of the Constitution is stated clearly, with no ambiguity. It says the National Assembly shall not pass. Shall not pass a bill to establish any religion as a state religion. Isn't that the advice that should have been given to the President when he declared a state to be Islamic? That there was no need to write opinions actually comparing other jurisdictions, etc., on Islamic implementations.
And what makes you think I did not advise that?
Well, you have told the Commission that you write very well.
Yes, I do.
It was not in your opinion.
It was not. I refer to a verbal directive after a discussion I had with His Excellency.
Everything you said in that verbal directive was actually stated mainly in the letter that you read, which gave you the directive to go ahead and implement the Islamic State.
I gave the advice verbally, and he responded and gave a verbal directive, and I implemented and reduced that verbal directive into writing, and still went ahead with the process of implementation.
And
the process of implementation includes
boole nañ ci nag ne
the issue of a referendum.
lu jëm ci wàllu wote diggante waaw ak déet ñu xamee ko référendum.
So no matter however you take it, no matter how up and however you look at it,
ak noo ko munti xoolee noo ko munti gisee.
it would still become an issue for the decision for the people of the Gambia.
ba léegi rek dafay nekk dogal boo xam ne mu ngi jëm ci wàllu nit ci Gambia.
So whatever you look at it, however you look at it, a referendum would still be required.
noo ko gisee rek référendum foog si rek ñu def ko.
And then the people would decide on what they want.
te kon nit ñi danañu seet nag ci lan lañ bëgg.
And that would have been the end of it.
te tamit nag ci la doon di mujjee.
Actually, Mr.
Council,
Nyati.
before you continue with that one, Commissioner Jones wanted to raise a point of order. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Council, it will be very helpful to the Commission if Ms. Ngata can read the response to the letter, the executive directive received on 15th of February, because we are missing some content from her response. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll hand back the letter to her to be read.
She's to read the entire letter.
Thank you. Would you like me to read the whole letter?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Reference is invited to reference number. That was the letter I had sent to the office of the President.
li nga xam ne ni mu ngi jëbal bopp na ci lettre bi nga xam ne moom lañ njëkkoon a jël ci office of the president bi.
On the above.
ci liñ bind nii ci kaw.
And hereby convey executive directive.
ak fi mu nekk nii fii nag ñu ngi àggale nag li nga xam ne nii mooy ndigal loo xam ne mu ngi jógee ko ci président bi.
To the effect that the Gambia will be called an Islamic Republic of the Gambia.
pour commencer nag di Gambia di muy Islamic Republic of the Gambia.
And the Republic would adhere to the status of truly Islamic and not a pseudo-Islamic Christian state.
te tamit nag bu boobaa nag dana nekk na réew moo xam ne nii dafay doxee nii Islamic réew waaye du nag boo xam ne nii Islam ak Christian réew.
That the Republic will have all the attributes of an Islamic state within 5 years.
te tamit nag dana am lépp loo xam ne nii lamboo na ko nag di Islamic state ci diirab juróomi at.
The directive further tasks you.
kon nag ndigal bi dal dina la jox ndigal.
To work on the constitution.
pour nag ñu liggéey ci constitution di loi république bi.
Sorry, Ms. Singati, I'll interject. I meant the response to the letter that was dated on the 15th, not the letter that came from the SG. Your response to the letter, whereby you gave recommendations. And could you please cite the date as well, please?
Yes, it says the 14th of March.
li na fukki fan ak ñeenti ci weeri maaj la.
And I indicated
te tamit wane naa fa.
that I refer to the letter dated the 15th of February.
Letter bi nga xam ne ñu ko bi fukki fan ak juróom ci weeri February.
With reference number.
Reference number bi.
The reference is indicated.
wane nañ ko fa.
Which was a response to my letter of the 8th of February.
nga xam ne nii mooy tontu suma letter bi bindoon fukki fan ak juróom-ñetti fan ci weeri February.
The directive given in said letter.
ci ndigal bi nga xam ne moom lañ bind ci letter boobu.
Was inter alia.
moom nag ca njëlbeen.
In quotes.
comme ni nga xam ne noonu lañ ko tànnee loolu lañ ci seppee.
A task force to initiate action.
ne nag am na pour kuréel goo xam ne nag mu jël ay jéego.
To establish the institutions.
pour nag mu dal di taxawal nag buntu boo xam ne nii.
Of an Islamic state with Sharia laws.
yu jëppook Islamic state ànd ak luwaay sari.
Analogous to the functioning of Islamic State of Saudi Arabia.
loo xam ne dina mel ni Islamic state bu Saudi Arabia.
Iran, Pakistan and Mauritania.
Iran, Pakistan ak Mauritania.
End of quote.
ñu dal di jeexal nag nañ ko seppee.
And I continued.
ma continuer.
In this regard.
ci kaw bunta boobu nag.
I forward the following names for person.
maa ngi ebal nag ñi turi nit ñi nga xam ne moom mu leen a lim si nii.
For His Excellency to select.
pour nag His Excellency mu tànn.
To constitute the task force for work to commence.
pour continuer nag task force boobu di way pencam jàmbur yooyu nag pour ñu continuer commencer.
The executive directive above.
ci ndigal li nga xam ne ni mu ngi jóge ko ci président bi ci fii ni ñu ko feeñalee ci kaw.
And the following persons were proposed.
nit ñi muy tudd si nii nag ñoom lañ ci xalaatoon.
Would you like me to go through the names, the list?
Yes, please. You may continue.
Dr. Alhaji Usman Jah. I have number 1, Alhaji Usman Jah.
No, continue.
Oma continue.
Wow.
Kadi Omar Seka, Alaji Esa Dabo, Alaji Mbai Saho, Dr. Omar Ja, Mrs. Marisen, Dr. Abubakar Senghor, Mr. Lamin Kamara, Mr. Abdoulaye Ba.
Tur yooyu mu tudd nag mooy ñi nga xam ne ni ñoom lañ xalaatoon pour ñu nekk pencum jàmbur yooyu nga xam ne ni ñooy task force buy waral na doxal mbir mooy.
Is that the end of your response?
Yes. The rest is a proposal that in order to be more productive, the task force should be kept small.
Please just read to the end of the letter.
Yeah.
That's it. I hand it over back to the chairman. It's just the content of the letter.
Okay. It's proposed that in order to be more productive, the task force be kept small.
Nag seen committee pencam weytaan ñooñu dañ war naa nekk lu néew.
His Excellency is hereby requested to choose 4 or 5 persons from the persons listed above.
If the
need arises, assistance could be sought from other persons for specific purposes. It is further proposed that the Office of the President could chair this task force.
Office of the President
to ensure transparency and expeditious compliance with timelines. And the Ministry of Justice will coordinate the affairs of the task force.
The ministry
Should His Excellency have any other person in mind, they could also be added to the list above. The foregoing is hereby submitted for executive approval or for the directive. That is it.
Thank you. I hand it back over to you, Chair.
Thank you. Council, can you pass the letter for the commissioners to see, please?
Yes. Mr. Usher, can you take the letter around? We shall tender these documents
yes, I know,
at the ending of the proceedings.
It might be helpful if we see the documents as well before tendering. Otherwise, the commissioners wouldn't have seen. Thank you very much. You may proceed, Council, please.
Thank you. Ms. Singati.
Yes.
Looking at the provision in the Constitution,
yes,
which has clearly stated that the National Assembly cannot pass any bill to change this country into any other sort of state, in particular when it comes to religion. This advice should have been made clear in writing to the President, since you're very good with writing in everything. This action put us in chaos, as the Christians got confused. Even us Muslims, especially legal practitioners, got confused. Because we were worried and did not know what sort of state we would be in, and what laws would be governing us. The directive should not have been followed to actually recommend people to start a task force.
Would you like me to respond?
If you want to.
Yes. I know that there are other correspondences relating to this subject matter. And from those correspondences, you will see even the task force when it was set up, the members of the task force were quite hesitant. Because they knew that this was something that cannot happen immediately. So what they were talking about is trying to see how to convince the president to maintain the status quo and walk towards a future. There was a recommendation of time frame, I don't recall, but it's in the letter.
Mr. Ngate, it was not the responsibility of the task force to convince the president. It was your responsibility as the advisor to advise him according to the law, especially the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution.
I hear you, Council, but what the Council you should know, you should be aware of, and what this Commission needs to be aware of, and what the members of the public listening in need to be aware of.
Council yow li nga wara xam ak kilifa yi nga xamne ñoo sék commission bi liñ wara xam ak nit ñi ñuy déglu liñ wara xam.
That because even though I am the principal legal advisor,
naam sax ndax man ma nekkon principal legal advisor bi di ki yedd nak ci nguur gi,
and yes, I'm supposed to advise on the law.
Tay nak waaw dama ko wara yedd nak lu jëm ci wali loi bi.
But the president had other advisors,
president bi amna ñeneen ñoo xamne ñokoy yedd de,
including religious advisors.
Bokk na ci nak ñi nga xamne ñokoy yedd ci wali diine.
So if my advice,
bu fekke nak ne suma yedd lima ko wara yedd
as a lawyer,
ne lawyer la,
is in conflict with a religious advisor,
feewaloo na ak li nga ki nga xamne mokoy yedd na ci wali diine,
knowing that this is what he wants,
pour xam nak ne li la bëggu,
there is no way that he would accept my advice.
Kon nak amul ben anam bo xamne ni dana dégg nak lima koy wax.
But my advice has always been there.
Waaye nak lima ko daan yedd waxtu wu ne mu nga fa rek.
And it was clear.
Tay tamen leeroon na.
So if based on his religious advisor,
bu fekkee nak ni sukkandikoo nak ci ki nga xamne ni moko doon di yedd ci wàlli diine,
still wanted to proceed with,
mu bëgg continuer ak li nga xamne ni mo nekk yébaneem,
then that was up to him.
Kon nak loolu dafa desoon ci moom rek.
He was the elected official.
Moom nak moo nekkoon ki nga xam ne moom lañ tànnoon ci di kilifa.
He was the one voted into office by the people.
Moom la nit ñi tànnoon mu dal di ko jiital ci réew mi.
So the people in the end would have to decide.
Kon nag nit ñi mujjee gi ñoom dañuy war a ñoom ñooy dogal.
Mr. Ngate,
that's it.
The religious leaders cannot advise the president on the Constitution. Again, that was your role. And the opinion that has been seen before this commission did not table that aspect of the Constitution. Instead, it continued to give him the courage that he could change this country into an Islamic state. And stated ways, and even compared with other jurisdictions. We cannot buy that. That he took advice from religious leaders. If he was not taking your advice, then it means your position was vacant. You were just there.
That's your opinion.
Well, that's what you stated, that he was not taking, if he does not take your advice, you stated it. What use does it make? If you advise he does something different, if it was someone else, they might even resign, because then they're no longer fulfilling the position that they're sitting in.
I
was actually carrying on my responsibility issuing advice. The responsibility for accepting the advice does not rest upon me.
Mr. Ngate, in this instant, you did not advise the president accordingly as stated in the constitution.
Jamano jojo na liñ la wax moy digalulo won president bi ci nga xamne non la ko loi rew mi téralé.
That's your opinion.
Lool moy sa xelat.
And we will leave it to the commission to decide on the issues before them.
Ñu bayé ko nak ci loxo commission bi bon ñom ñu atté.